Okay, so I'm here to talk about my dream job, which is Venusian carpentry. Venusian being of Venus, the planet, but also I guess slightly the mythology or the kind of the history of our perception of Venus as a place. Carpentry, making things out of wood. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think Venus has like a place in kind of Earth history and mythology as being it's the third brightest place in the sky. It's our sister planet, and I think its existence is kind of scientifically and mythologically is kind of intertwined. Up until the 60s, when the first Russian probe landed on the surface, there was still a kind of perception that it was a kind of heaven planet, and that under its thick, bright clouds there was going to be some sort of I don't know, beautiful rainforest full of kind of happy creatures and stuff like that. But when that Russian probe landed on Venus, it was destroyed in a bit over half an hour because the reality, at least from the data that was sent back, was that the surface of Venus is like being 1 mile under the ocean in terms of the high pressure. It's 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. It's got like a volatile atmosphere made it, which is kind of acidic and very hostile. And as well as that, despite being incredibly bright and hot, it's very dark on the surface because it's closer to the sun, but it's also got an incredibly intense greenhouse effect going on. So the reflection we see off it is the light reflecting off, and what gets in is trapped. So it's this very like dense, ominous kind of hellscape in reality, or at least that's what the probes told us. And so I guess since then, the kind of I think the focus of kind of space exploration from like the NASA perspective, or as we know it in science and stuff, maybe shifted towards Mars and the Moon. And certainly today, when space colonization is discussed, those are the kind of the objectives of kind of this new kind of capitalist space invasion that's going on. Got kind of Elon Musk and all those guys talking about Mars as the best place for humans to go. They think it's potentially could be a good place for humans to take their first steps, well, beyond the Moon. But from my perspective, or at least from my perspective from the little bits of articles I read here and there, like the Moon and Mars are they don't make sense as a place to go. I don't see the reasoning for it. They're kind of dead planets. They don't have any atmosphere, so they're kind of completely open to all the things that Earth's atmosphere protects us from, like radiation and stuff like that. Also, to exist in these spaces, you just have to manufacture a completely artificial habitat. So in the same way that when you want to go under the ocean or into the sky, you have to engineer these structures that can exist within these violently different pressures. When you go to Mars or the Moon, you have to really highly engineer a space that can resist the outside forces. And so you're in effect not going to Mars. You're going to a kind of replication, a meager replication of what it is to live on Earth, and that's only supported through incredibly artificial means. Nonetheless, I'm very interested by like all these things. I'll read the articles, go online, keep up to date. So I was happy when when I came across this speculative paper by the NASA affiliated scientist, sci-fi writer and poet called Colonization of Venus by Jeffrey A. Landis. It's a paper that speculates a different way, a route to colonization of space, and he points to Venus as being the ideal location. I'll read you the abstract, and this is going to lead into why I think Venusian carpentry is the ideal dream job for the younger me. Maybe I see, yeah. I'll give you the abstract. Although the surface of Venus is an extremely hostile environment, at about 50 kilometers above the surface of the atmosphere of Venus is the most Earth-like environment other than Earth itself in the solar system. It is proposed here that in the near term, human exploration of Venus could take place from aerostat vehicles in the atmosphere, and that in the long term, permanent settlements could be made in the form of cities designed to float at about 50 kilometers altitude in the atmosphere of Venus. Things I read there. And that's the body of what my kind of vision of living on Venus is, except my Venusian carpentry just a sort of slant or an offshot of the things I read there, which kind of agreed with me. Anyway, so yeah, as I stated earlier, and as he begins by describing Venus on the surface is incredibly hostile. It's got the extreme temperature, blah blah blah. But if you go 50 kilometers up into the atmosphere, that's the point at which the pressure is reaches the same pressure as we have on the surface of Earth. So it's no longer pushing you or pulling you out, at least in what our bodies are used to. And in terms of what our architecture is used to as well. Basically, in terms of everything we kind of experience on Earth is within this thin line, and that changes extraterrestrial. You're suddenly above this thick cloud layer, and you've got kind of a lot of light around you, and these kind of, I imagine, pink and kind of eternally sunset clouds. You've still got the acid atmosphere. That's actually good because although it's violent, it's an atmosphere, water. It's got carbon, it's got oxygen. They're just in a violent combination, and I'm told in that paper that we could work with those to kind of create the things we need. What he then goes on to say is that on Earth, when you want to lift something into the sky, you can envelop a gas that's lighter than the surrounding atmosphere, like a hot air balloon, or a zeppelin, and then by enveloping this lighter gas, it will lift naturally above the denser gas around it. So on Earth we use heated air or helium. On Venus though, if you could manufacture Earth normal air, that would naturally be of a lighter density than the surrounding atmosphere, and it would lift up to around this golden kind of sphere, liminal layer. Yeah, and so he says that the way that works, hot air balloon, you can sit in a little basket underneath and it will lift you up. But it's kind of restrictive, a bit like those restrictive habitats I was talking about on Mars or the Moon. However, if this air that is lifting you is also the air that you breathe and exist in, then you've got a massive habitat to exist within. And I think that's very important for a human being going about their daily lives. And if we're talking about existing in a different space, I think space itself, in the sense of it being around you, is important. So supposedly this is also a expandable thing. So if you enveloped a house, the gas around it would be enough to lift the house. If you enveloped New York, that would be enough gas to lift New York. So it's got this kind of, it's an expandable form of lifting and space encapsulating. Okay, and then he goes on to say, so at this point that's where the pressure normalizes. That also means that you can build an Earth normal race. In terms of a submarine or a satellite has to be engineered in ways that you need to study to learn, but each and every one of us can build things in the space around us. It's just simple, it's tacit knowledge. I mean, you can make it more complicated, but really like a shelter or a structure is things in balance and within the forces that we understand. And we've all got some sort of understanding of that. So where this sort of paper took me was that I felt like it was proposing a form of existence in space colonization that was a bit more understandable to a common person or a person without specialized, military training or anything like that, or engineering training. Also with the pressure differential, you don't have that explosive force that's ever present. So if you make a hole in your space dome, ask questions as I go along from this point onwards because it all gets a bit in depth or vague. If you make a hole in your dome with your earth air on the inside and your acid air on the outside, because the pressure is normalized at this point, the earth air will just start to diffuse slowly out, so you could just go and fix it with gaffer tape. I like that, as that like the sense of kind of, yeah, like violent death not being quite as present in that sense made it also seem more palatable to the normal person. So yeah, you're with me so far. 50 kilometers up in the air, good place to be for various reasons. You can lift yourself up there through these simplistic means which I've explained. So the next place that I went with this was, they start to discuss in this paper and in others that talk often based on this paper, the kind of the nuts and bolts of things. And one of the things they were talking about was how do you build these spaces? And the thing that comes up is, in that conversation, as well as in the conversation about maintaining the atmosphere and also stopping people going crazy, is that it's good to have plants around. Yeah, they've got their job in the atmospherically, and it's also nice to have greenery around when you're out on a limb. And it's the perfect place for them in many ways, because you've got what you need in the atmosphere, the water and stuff, you just need to get it. But you're also surrounded by light. It seems like the perfect place to be a plant if you can just get started. And from there, where it took me was that we should just grow trees on Venus, 50 kilometers up in the air. And that these trees would form the kind of, well, they'd form part of the basis of this ecosystem, this life support system. And they'd also be the kind of the bread and butter of the people living there. So it'd be the kind of sustain the trees from like the beginning to the end being cutting them down, carpentering them into your new dome extension, or the like. And for me, I don't know, this imagined dream job really sat right with me, because I don't know, when you're a child and someone's asking you what you want to be when you're older, I feel like it's quite an intrusive question. And they've probably got a lot of things on their mind, whether you have or not, about where you're going. And I didn't really have a snappy retort, but now it's not quite a snappy retort, it's something I really like. Venusian carpentry is what I want to be when I'm older, or what I want to do. And yeah, you know, I just think it brings together the fantastical, but also the hopefully possible, through my man, Jeffrey Landis. With like something that also, with something that's understandable and like real, and I think, like for me at least, I like making things out of wood. Like you can kind of work it out as you go along. I'm getting better at it. So Venusian carpentry, that's my dream job. I'm not sure if I'm ready to ask for any questions. Maybe there's a few points. But I think probably ready to ask for some questions.
What I want to know is, why have you brought those objects? Why have you got, for example, Kin Family Moomin Troll?
Yeah. Okay, so these are just a few things, and like some of them are coming straight to you fresh, or some of them have been part of kind of things I've done in the past, or work I've done in the past, or they're literally just photos from my past, or something like that. But what I really have enjoyed through this process of constructing my own perceived kind of dream job, lifestyle, whatever, is, I don't know, I've enjoyed it personally. I feel it's been really good for me, and it's made me feel at ease, almost, as I do my other silly things. Like it's sort of something to have in the back of my mind. But I personally think everyone should be constructing their own like personal ideologies, like or religions or faiths or lifestyles. I think it's lifestyle stuff, and like I think if you're actively working on your own, then that's a good thing. And for me, I guess most of these objects are they're accumulating, and often they're coming from a friend or something like that. And for me, most of what I've said has come from this, and most of how it looks in my head has come from like people around me, and I quite, in terms of constructing something like that, I quite like to show your workings sort of thing. So here's a few things that you could look at later if you want to show my workings. Moomin Troll is the best thing I've just like, it's the best thing that happened to me this year. It's going to really help when I have children sometime. It's like the best thing to read if you want to learn about like conflict resolution and like yeah, how to live like a good life, which is both adventurous and exciting, but doesn't like hurt nobody. Well, it's the closest planet, I believe. Mars is the other direction, a bit further. Naysayers, I think, say Mars is easy to get to because of like the way that things rotate and stuff. But people on this side say that actually Venus has got a lot of benefits, and you can get there faster in certain ways, but you just have to be careful about it. I don't remember how long it takes, probably a year or something. With current technology, something like that. And I guess to some extent in the last few months it's been present, but it's something I put to the back of my mind. But at the time, I just wanted to mark it with a few things, and I guess back patches in general, they're kind of militaristic, but they're also like kind of like everyone who likes the same band has them. They're kind of, and I don't know, they're cool. I don't know. I just thought, you know, it'd be nice to have a patch. I kind of see Venusian carpentry as like, I like the two words. They don't slip off the tongue exactly, but I like them together, and I see myself writing them on my toolbox, and like maybe like a teenager writing them on my stuff, and maybe this is my kind of uniform, a little bit. Extension, you don't just walk out the door and be on Venus doing a thing, but I don't know, in terms of like colonization and like the imposition of your way of life on a different, like, historically speaking, I think very much like the talk of Mars and the Moon is like, we're gonna function in this environment this way, and they kind of choose these places almost because they're more like kind of bare. They're more like they're just kind of rocks. Whereas Venus, I think like it's different to Earth, but it's different in an exciting way. It's alive, and like I see the potential in my vision of Venus for like a life that's not like. It's a different, like, natural form of natural existence. Maybe it's kind of like it's artificial, no doubt. But you don't. Even when you go outside on the Mars or the Moon, you have to wear a spacesuit. A spacesuit is a habitat built around you. You can't really do much in it. On Venus, you can just wear a wetsuit. As long as the acid isn't right touching your skin, then you can go around. You can touch things. So I imagine myself on a veranda on Venus, you know, looking at the eternal sunset.
What I do like about it is. The fact that you said you can maybe even get water from the atmosphere. That's interesting. Like you said,
sounds like, yeah, the material resources are there to perpetuate life there.
Maybe.
And
he's positive about it. Yeah, and they're just, they're not in the right, exactly the right for us combination.
Yeah, but we can make them. We can make it so.
Potentially.
Okay, thanks again, Maurice.
Thank you.
Yeah.